Today we'll be going over American film genres, specifically the film genre fantasy. What is fantasy? Fantasy is a genre of films built around imaginary worlds, and it's usually built using laws that transcend realism into magical or superhuman territory. Fantasy often features tropes such as epic quests, prophecy, and usually has defined hero and villain types. Fantasy, more often than not, combines a well-accepted moral truth with out-of-this-world magic and whim, and is meant to invoke the viewer with a magical world built on a common moral truth, all of which are expanded on in my film example. My film example is Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a classic fantasy that blends content with realism in a palatable form. Directed by Peter Jackson, this was a novel series adapted from Tolkien. In the movie, the main character Frodo is tasked with destroying a ring that brings out the worst in people by promising them power at the cost of their moral corruption. In order to destroy the ring, Frodo must throw it into a volcano that lies within the enemy territory, deep within. Along the way, Frodo experiences themes such as the call to adventure, temptation of good versus evil, the betrayal of loyalty, destiny, triumph of his courage over cowardice, and the uniting of people for a common purpose. Some examples of this are his call to adventure, when he gets the call to destroy the ring, temptation of good versus evil, represented by Frodo's internal struggle on whether or not to keep the ring in its power for himself or to dispose of it for the good of all, the betrayal of loyalty from the golem that was supposed to be helping him along the way, destiny, triumph of his courage over cowardice, and the uniting of all people for a common purpose, which would be helping Frodo along the way through his journey to destroy the ring. It's important to note that stars of fantasy movies tend to be those who embody mythical or whimsical traits. They have theatrical and melodramatic performance styles, and they usually reflect their characters'